Good evening and welcome to the first of two Beyond the Front Page shows. This is part of a series of shows for the spring 2021 semester here at Cayuga Community College that is shown on Spectrum, Verizon Fios, ARMA, the Auburn Regional Media Access, which is public access here in the city of Auburn, as well as Win 89.1, the college's radio station. After a year without baseball at Falcon Park due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was not clear at the end of last year whether there would be baseball at all because of the Major League Baseball pulling away from its agreements through the New York Penn League and dissolving 40 teams in the region. The end result has been that the city of Auburn was looking for a new partner and found one with one of our guests tonight, Don Lee and Bob Oman, who are part of the Perfect League system, which we'll talk about. But for those of you who may not know the history of Falcon Park, it was built in 1927. It hosted ball teams, I think, every year except for 1981 because there was a dispute. Last year, the college put in operations to put in new turf, and then it saw the whole facility rebuilt in 1995 when it was also named at that time, or roughly around that time, the Doubledays. We've asked Mr. Lee on to talk to us about, excuse me, Mr. Lewis on to talk about several items, including their opening day on June 5th, and also what changes we might see, what we might not see at the facility on North Division Street. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So we weren't thinking we were going to have baseball, but now comes the Perfect Game League. What is it?
It's exciting. First of all, you know, the city manager, Jeff, all of his crew, all of his staff's done an unbelievable job. I know they did all their due diligence with, you know, a few other people that were looking to place teams here, and we couldn't be more thankful for them. When you walk into Falcon Park, just the facility's beautiful. It'll be the best in probably any collegiate league team for the summer baseball. So it's pretty exciting to be part of the community, and we're really looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League's been around for 11 years, and a lot of it is New York Penn League teams that either got dropped or that were part of the NYP League. For instance, Geneva, Niagara Falls, Elmira. There's a lot of different teams, about 6 teams.
It does sound like the old New York Penn League.
It does. It's all through there. Geneva, Newark, Niagara Falls, Mohawk Valley. It's all New York State NYP leagues.
So how many teams are there in the league?
So we got 13 teams this year.
Okay.
We just added us, obviously, in Niagara Falls and Batavia. So Batavia got dropped also by Major League Baseball. So they're coming into the league with us this year. So it's really exciting. The Perfect Game. The name Perfect Game is the #1 scouting for Major League Baseball. So they are a great sponsor, and they're the sponsor of the Perfect Game Collegiate League.
So when you say collegiate league, these are all college players?
They are. They're college players with eligibility or seniors going into college. So what these schools do is the college athletes are told by many schools, Division I, Division II, a Kentucky, a Manhattan school, that, hey, you're going to go play summer ball and you're going to go to Auburn this year. Or, for instance, if you're Batavia, you're going to go to Batavia this year.
So if they're collegiate, does that mean they don't get paid?
They don't get paid, that's correct.
So that's different than the New York Penn League?
Correct. Yep.
Another difference would be that many of the players who played at Falcon Park over the years have been through the league below Auburn, which at that point might have been, I think, the Dominican Republic.
Yep.
And some of those were not necessarily college students.
Correct.
They might have been college age. So this is a whole different. So you don't compensate them. Do you give them meal? Can they get meal vouchers? What do you do about housing, for example? Because I know that was always an issue for the New York Penn League.
Yeah. So we can't give them pay, obviously, but we do feed them after every game. We try to feed them as many lunches as we can. There's most games you get home so late. If you're going to, you know, Mohawk Valley, you're getting home at 1, 2 in the morning, so they're still sleeping during breakfast time. So we do try to feed them every meal. Every road trip they go on as a coach bus, it's ran very professional.
And housing, so you have a coach. You have a coach that's coming in. We would have called that the general manager years ago. But what do you call that person now?
Yeah, he's going to be our coach. Our head coach is Mr. Jillian. He's coming in from Florida. He's going to move here for the summer months. And
so his spelling is like Bob Julian, who used to be the president of the New York Penn League. Any
It is.
relation?
It's his son.
Oh, it's his son.
Yep,
Okay.
So you're right on top of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So,
So we're excited to have him. His name, you know, obviously strong throughout the community. His dad's name's very strong. Actually, Bob is our league president in the PGCBL. So.
okay, all right. So I want to talk about housing because I know that's
Yeah.
always important to whether it's the New York Penn League or you. What are you doing about housing?
So that's the biggest struggle or issue, I guess, especially in this league, is you try to find as many host parents as you can, and by that is you try to find individuals that will open their home to 1, 2, 3 kids that'll join part of their family for the summer months. We compensate the families a little bit to help take care of the players. They don't have to do nothing if they don't want to, but there's a lot of people
So
that
they're providing room, not necessarily board.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people that take one of the players in, and it's a lifelong relationship that they have with the player. And hopefully from this league, as a perfect game in 11 years, we've had 500 players scouted in the Major League Baseball.
So you have a fairly decent placement
We do.
for how students, well, they are students, go to the next level.
Yep.
So you hope to, your partner was nice enough to send me some stats. I'm not going to overwhelm you
Yeah.
with what he sent me, but your hope was to have 35 players?
Yep, we'll have a 35-man roster. That's a maximum roster you can carry.
And you've recruited 27 at this
We're at
stage.
29 right now. So
2 since the weekend.
Yep. So
Great.
we're doing good,
And
obviously.
it's been tougher now because you came into the season later than normal,
It
correct?
has. You know, myself, I own another baseball team. Bob, my partner, owns another baseball team. And rosters in collegiate is usually filled up by September, beginning of October. Obviously, we just got our deal done a month ago or so. So we've had a late start. We will have a competitive team, but we have had a late start, obviously, filling the roster.
So Mike Morano, who is our director here and our member of the staff here, he did tell you he had 3 years left on his eligibility.
He did.
He's a shortstop, though. You're looking for something different.
We're looking for pitchers, yeah.
Okay.
And he told us he
He
can't
did.
make it
He
from home to
offered.
first, he said anyway.
He didn't
so.
think he could make first, but he did doing that. So you also are creating some, this was not something disclosed here, but I thought I read in the newspaper, you have also put some slots aside for Cayuga students. Am I correct on that?
That is correct, yep. We will accept up to 3 kids.
Okay.
And that's up to the coaching staff who they want to send, working
So
with
that's
Ben,
TJ
obviously.
Gamba, the coach here,
It is.
sending you. And have you gotten any Auburn students yet or Cayuga students yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
So there's still openings there.
Yep.
First game?
First game's Saturday, June 5th against Geneva, which will be exciting, obviously.
Long-time rivalry
Yep.
between the two.
Absolutely.
How long is your season?
We start June 1st. We're going to start out on the road, and then we go right through the end of July, and playoffs are the first 2 weeks of August.
So unlike in the past with the New York Penn League, where you would lose college students that last week of August, first week, which would totally devastate a team.
Yep.
All teams.
Yep,
Not
absolutely.
just Auburn. You won't have that issue right
We
now.
won't have that issue. So, and that's a big thing when the league put their schedule together. It's, hey, let's get the players in. Some of the players that are going to the, World Series or whatever it may be will show up late, and then by the
College
time
World Series.
And the playoffs and everything. So by the time the season ends, the players still have a week or 2 to go home, be with mom and dad, be with family members to enjoy their summer for those 2 weeks.
Okay. So let's talk about the deal, and then I want to get into the operations of what you're bringing. How long is your agreement with the city?
We got a 3-year deal with a 3-year option. Jeff was great to work with that. The whole board was excellent.
So you're paying about $35,000 roughly to the city for what?
The use of Falcon Field, and then the use of the Doubledays names. There was some conversation that maybe we'd get rid of the Doubledays name.
But
and
you
go
wanted to
with
keep
some-
the brand.
It's just way too rich of a name to get rid of this area. Everybody knows who the Doubledays are, and
So you'll be selling merchandise.
we will. Yep, we'll have.
And the city gets a cut of those proceeds
Yep.
as well as advertising.
Correct.
And so are you selling the billboards in the field? Is that your job or is that the city's job?
No, we'll be taking over the billboard sales. We'll be taking over all the advertisement sales, and then we do give a small kickback to the city so that they can get some of that. So any billboards or signage that's up, even if it's CCC games or any event that's taking place at Falcon Park, will be left up throughout the summer months due to the fact that taking them down and putting them up, Brian
just
Rose.
doesn't-
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So you're looking at any, I know the Doubledays, as they exited the market in the sense of marketing, back in December, did a lot of get rid of bobbleheads and shirts, and I know what's in my son's playroom. Are you coming up with new merchandise that you will have?
We will.
Are you changing the logo?
No, we're not changing the logo. Everything's going to stay exactly the same. We will have all new merchandise. We're going to redo the concession stands. Everything's going to be brand new. And a lot of people say, well, what's the biggest difference from coming to Major League Baseball affiliate to collegiate? The biggest difference is going to be the interaction that our players are going to have with the fans.
So one of the things that I think I read, and also your partner sent me, was that your players will sign autographs in the stands. They will be out in front. You're going to do a lot more, and not saying that the others didn't, but they had a longer season and a more compressed season in the sense of the number of games on the road.
Yep.
You'll be out there showing your players off to the community.
We will be in every parade. We'll be at any event anybody wants Abner at, players at.
Now, we don't know if we're going to have parades right now.
That's true, yeah. But we'll be. We want to be involved as much as possible in the community. Our players will be standing at the front gate, handing out posters, schedules, whatever the giveaway might be. They'll be in the stands for the national anthem. They're going to be out signing balls. The fan interaction that our team's going to have is going to be amazing. And before our players sign a contract and decide to come to Auburn, they are made aware ahead of time that they're going to be part of this community. This is their community.
So still going to have Abner walking around the stands?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully the fan works on that. So you mentioned that you have another team. So where's your team?
I own a team in Mansfield, Pennsylvania.
How long have you owned that?
This will be my third year owning the Destroyers.
And they are not part of this league, correct?
They are not part of this league, but it's the same concept, just a different league.
And then, so how big is this league? What's the geography for the Perfect Game League?
So Perfect Game, the furthest south we go is Elmira, old NYP league. The furthest east we go is Saugerties, sort of right out of New York City.
Right.
Furthest north is Boonville. And then the furthest east, or west, excuse me, is probably Jamestown or Niagara Falls.
Okay. And so you own a team. He owns a team as well?
Bob owns the Geneva team.
So it will be interesting. Who is he going to be? I was going to ask him if he was going to be here, and unfortunately he's not able to be here today. Who is he going to root for on that first day?
I don't know. I haven't asked him that. I'm hoping Auburn, obviously, with it being a home game. But that's one thing people will see a difference of also, is obviously Bob and I each own different teams, but you will always see one of us, if not both of us, at every home game. We're very hands-on owners.
And how many seasons have you both owned teams? Because you owned a team prior to Mansfield.
I've owned Elmira prior to Mansfield with a business partner, and then sold off Elmira, took a year off, got into a restaurant business, no clue why I did that.
Okay.
And then went into Mansfield with the Destroyers.
So just out of curiosity, this is not on my list, but how much is we heard valuations when the city, this was years ago, when the city was thinking of selling it. The City and State magazine did a profile of what minor league teams were. What's the value of a franchise? I know the city's not getting any money from Major League Baseball. I'm sure you're not surprised about that, but what's the value? How much does it cost to own a franchise? You
know, they're all different, really, depending on, obviously, Bob with being an owner in the Perfect Game League already, with the amount of teams that we want in, the contracts that you get through your umpire association, the cost of the baseballs, the cost of the hats. It really all depends and fluctuates that way.
So you have to come up with that. Those are your costs. Yes. You're paying the city $35,500, I think, and then you have other costs on top of that. You got to make money through concessions and whatnot to cover those costs, as well as
everything, anything baseball related. Yep. Okay. Anything baseball related, and housing, and
so one of the ways to pay for that is tickets.
Yep.
So how much are tickets?
Tickets are we've dramatically lowered tickets, and we've heard a lot of different opinions on the tickets. So we have 2 ticket ranges this year. We have VIP box seats. Season tickets are $149 for those. Those are the dark blue seats, the first 4 rows going to the field. And then I know they had different covered seating. They had bleacher seating. They had all different of those. Everything now is GA seats. Okay. So we don't have a bunch of different prices.
So can you buy, but you can buy a single game box seat as long as it's available.
Correct. So box seats box seat walk-up price is going to be $9, and then general admission will be $7. Children and seniors and military will be $5.
And I'm sure you said you've been getting feedback, so I'm sure one of the feedbacks that you've gotten has been people buy season tickets and they have them box seats and there's somebody seated in their rows. How will you be policing that?
And that's with us being a hands-on owner. We're going to have a lot more people involved policing that. Any issue they'll have, they're not going to have to look for people. There's going to be people at the ballpark that they're going to be able to immediately find, and we will then address the issue.
So are most of the employees there, it'll be obviously you and your management team, but will you hire students as New York Penn League did, not New York Penn, Doubledays organization, Auburn Community Baseball, to run concessions, tickets, all that?
Yes.
Okay, so you do.
Yep.
So when will you start hiring in that regard?
We are looking to do a whole full day worth of interviews on the 20th, and then start from there. We've already got some people
April
that came.
20th.
April 20th.
Okay.
Yep. We've already got some people that came in interested in working that have already been there. So we're looking for that. We're looking for people that are very energetic, customer friendly.
So you're still thinking of doing those things in the middle of innings where you throw the fish into the net or you dizzy bat race? Is that still part of the, or is that changed because you're collegiate?
No, that's part of it, and our players will be more interactive with that. You'll see them dancing to the YMCA. You'll see our players very involved in that, and that's another part. You know, it's an entertainment business at the same time with a baseball game. We want the kids, we want the families to be able to bring the kids out and enjoy the night also.
So one thing that I want, before we leave tickets, you can buy these tickets online right now?
You cannot buy online. That's another thing we've removed from the organization, as we've heard that people would have to always go up to the box office, then walk back to gate 1 and 2 to get in. So what Bob and I have done is we went to hard stock tickets, and we're purchasing another box office to put at gate 1 and 2 on game days, so people won't have to walk all the way to the office and then all the way back to gate 1 and 2.
But if you, so that's a new piece there. But how about if I wanted to go buy 3 season tickets for $149 right now? How do I do that?
You call us or you stop in.
Okay.
And once they're
so
ready,
there's somebody at.
There's somebody always at Falcon, right at the main office at Falcon Field. Yep.
Okay. So somebody's at the park right now.
Yep.
So obviously we're in a COVID world, and that obviously it impacted last year. We didn't have a final season of the Doubledays. Will there be changes in how you seat fans?
Right now, we're working closely with the city. We're working obviously listening every day to the governor.
So you'll be following CDC and New York State mandates on that?
100%, yep. And our number one concern is making sure our fans, players, employees are all safe, and that's our number one priority.
So I think this facility, I might be wrong on this, it could seat 2,300.
2,800.
2,800.
Yep.
You can't do that under any guidelines right now.
As of guidelines right now, we cannot do that. As of right now, it's 20%. Rate today is 20%. So we could welcome 600 fans into the game right now.
Okay, and they will have to be socially distant.
They will.
And they're going to have to wear face coverings as they come in. When they are seated, I thought I wanted to ask you this. I won't say what I read. They will have to wear masks or will not have to wear masks when they're seated.
That's something as of right now. Per the guidelines, they would not, but we're going to work with Jeff and the city also to come up with our own guidelines to make sure we take that extra step.
So saying that they will or they don't?
That's
the question.
That's still the unknown. Yep.
If they are required, as you know, you've seen other regional stories about this. Specifically, Wegmans has been questioned about this. Will your staff be willing, or are they going to be required to enforce the face mask covering procedures, whatever they are? City, I think the city did say there would have to be face masks at this point.
Okay.
Am I correct on that?
That's correct, yes.
CDC or state guidelines. Will your staff, just as we were talking about people sitting in the wrong box seats?
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
Yep, 100%.
Big piece of baseball and the experience is concessions. A big part of your revenue pie. No pun, well, I guess it is intended.
Yep.
Will you have concessions, first of all?
We will. We'll have concessions. We've had a lot of questions about adult beverages now going to collegiate baseball. There will be an adult beverage. There will be, and we're going back to a lot of basic ballpark foods. We've heard a lot of complaints that some people would have to wait 2 or 3 innings to receive, they'd miss 2 or 3 innings to receive their hot dog or whatever it may be. So we're going to go to speeding it up. The adult beverages in the concession area will all be cans. The craft beer, that's the draft beer, will all now be placed on the picnic, or the first base side, I'm sorry, on the deck there, to speed that process up. We're going to more of ballpark food, like I said, hamburgers, hot dogs, pretzels, peanuts, that kind of thing. It's not going to be a, hey, you know, we'll make you a turkey wrap type situation. We want people to get in and out as quick as they can.
Has that been one of the, I know you met with, you had an announcement, I think, 2 Fridays ago.
Yes.
Has that been some of the feedback you've been receiving is about, I think I've covered some of them, but,
Yep.
but concession's been a challenge.
I think the 3 things is that walking to get tickets and then all the way back, which hopefully we figured how to overcome that situation with the box office. Number 2 was tickets.
Which, by the way, if you went to Yankee Stadium, or
and we want it to be for everybody.
So that was the number 1 complaint.
Yep.
What was the other?
Number 2 would be concessions.
Okay.
And we're doing everything possible to try to change that around. And then number 3 was the tickets. You know, they had a covered seating, they had bleachers, and they had outfield. So we're trying to take that to the next level also.
So you're trying to reduce wait time. You're going to use young people to them. We talked about the applying. Will you be changing any foods other than you're reverting back to what I would guess would be what people would say is standard fare? I mean, if you go to these Major League Baseball facilities, you can get almost anything you want.
Yep.
So that will change there.
That's going to change, yep.
I did notice one thing. You mentioned collegiate. So one of your new promotions is bucket of beer.
Yep.
First of all, what is that?
Okay, so bucket of beer is obviously adult beverage, and they're going to be able to get a bucket of beer, 5 cans in their bucket with ice. So they don't have. And another thing, it's convenient for them. You know, husband and wife and 2 friends or whatever. Convenient for them. They can come down, they can get their bucket of beer, they can go back up and sit and enjoy their bucket of beer instead of, you know, getting one drink at this point and then having to go back down and getting another one and missing a half an inning. Now we're trying to convenient that a little bit more, where they can get a bucket to take to their seats.
So the flip side of that is some fans would be concerned about people having too much to drink at the game. How do you police that?
Well, number 1, every employee that will be selling the beer has to take a tips course. A tips course is New York State mandated for people that sell beer. So they're trained to tell how somebody's drank too much, or, you know, if they're on the way to drinking too much. And then step 2 would be the upgrade in the personnel that we'll have actually in the stands that will be taking place, watching over everything. And then number 3 is there is a law of binge drinking that you cannot do. So there will only be 1 bucket at a time that people can take back to their seat. So after that bucket, they have to physically come back down and purchase another one. And that's where our girls or our gentlemen in the beer office will be able to tell due to their tips training.
One of the biggest supporters of baseball locally for decades have been the boosters.
Yep.
Have you met with them?
We have. Very excited because never had a booster in baseball, and then to hear that they had that here was great. I've been in hockey for a little bit, and they've always had booster clubs there. I've met with the ones that started it up that have been part of it. So there's 6 of them right now very involved. We had our first meeting last week. We're going to do bi-weekly meetings and just try to keep it going. We're going to bring back 50-50s. We're going to.
So they did raffles, and they were at the front gate. They were very excited. I've met some of these people for decades now.
Yep.
Very, very positive, and they are your biggest supporters.
They are, you know, and they help the team go around. It's going to take everybody. This isn't my team. This isn't Bob's team. This is Auburn's team in the surrounding community. This is everybody's team. It's going to take everybody to make it successful and to work.
And what you said they were going to do 50-50, or are they going to do some other stuff that you want them to do?
Yeah, so they're going to do 50-50. We're going to have special picnics for them, where if you're not a Booster Club member, you can pay X amount of dollars to go into this picnic to be with the players. The Booster Club members would get in for free to that. They're going to plan bus trips where we're going to take a bus on the 28th, I believe it is, of June, of fans to Geneva to enjoy a game in Geneva. So there's lots of different situations that we're going to hold right now. There's a hot stove dinner in the beginning of the year where they're going to
so your first hot stove will be next January.
Correct.
You
Yes.
missed the window for
We
this
missed
year.
this one. Yep.
And that's a fun event where you introduce
You'll bring in a ex
teams
Major League
and
Baseball
baseball.
player, something like that, and have a nice meal.
So how does just got a couple more questions, but how does scouts come to Auburn? I know how they come because when Major League Baseball's here, then you have somebody specifically either from the Houston or the Washington or the Jays or whoever was the team here.
Sure.
How do you encourage a scout to come here?
So this is where the Perfect Game League comes involved, because of the name Perfect Game. We're affiliated with Perfect Game, which is the #1 scouting agency throughout the country in Major League Baseball. So A, they follow that, and then B, they may see, hey, a Kentucky player from Kentucky.
So your players are not just Central New York. These are all
Through the country, from California to Florida, up to Auburn.
So one of the fun things that the Major League Baseball did, I say this in a positive way, was that depending on who your manager was, they would have pitching or fielding clinics for young people who might be in Little League or Pony League. Your season's a lot different. Your players are a lot different. Do you still think you will be doing that?
I hope so. I think obviously, again, we had such a late start, so hopefully we can put something together like that where the kids can come out for a 1 or 2 day clinic with the players being involved, feed them lunch, get them back on the field with the players, and then mom and dad can pick them up after they get out of work or something. Like, they drop them off before they go to work. After they get out of work, they can come pick the kids up. So that's always fun. The kids always get a thrill out of it. They learn some basic skills, and the players really enjoy it also.
So do you see, maybe there is something like this, so the Doubledays used to have a Doubledays club for kids, get them in, they would do events or a free game or whatever.
Yep.
Do you see those types of kid passes? It may not be this year necessarily because of the lateness of the season, but do you see that as being something from a fan perspective that families can look for?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do, there's like Sunday fun days, we like to call it, where blow-ups will be coming in for the kids. Face painting will be taking place. There's a lot of different, per se a kids club, no, we won't be having that this year, but there's going to be a lot more interaction and things to do to keep the children entertained in between innings or the start of the game.
So do you have an on-site general manager now for operations manager here?
No, it's Bob and I. We're hands-on. It's just Bob and I. That's why I say everybody's always going to see us.
So, Mr. Julian, your manager's coming in. Do you still have some spots there that you still have to fill in your leadership team?
Yep, he takes care of all that stuff. We leave that all to him. Bob deals with him and the coaching staff a lot.
So 2 final questions. One, will you broadcast? I know WAUB or Finger Lakes Radio, I want to say the right station.
Yep.
Will you broadcast? Will you do video? Televising any of this? We have obviously ARMA, the Auburn Regional Media Access, which the city is part of. Any plans on that front right now?
We've just started talking about that, but as a team and as a league, every home team is made, or I should say as a league deal, to video the game with live streaming free for visiting team fans to watch.
Oh.
So every game...
Which was not done before.
It was not, no. So if we're in Geneva, if we're in Elmira, they're going to be able to get on doubledays.com. They're going to be able to get on, Doubledays TV, click it, and every game they'll be able to watch.
So last question. What can fans in this community do to help you and Mr. Oman have a successful season that baseball continues at Falcon Park?
We're committed for 3 years, 100%. I think the #1 thing that makes it go around is sponsorship. We understand that it's been tough with COVID for everybody, but we have sponsorship packages of any size for anybody that wants to be involved. #2 is our season ticket holder base. We made them more family affordable. So if somebody can purchase a season ticket, we greatly appreciate it. If they just got to purchase 1 ticket at the gate, great. Come give us a shot, enjoy a night out, and have fun at Falcon Field. And then 3, spread the word. Bring a coworker, bring grandma, grandpa, bring your cousin to the game. Help spread the word. Give us 1 chance. We're going to entertain you. We're very positive about that we can get that done and make sure that everybody's proud to call the Doubledays their hometown team.
Well, we want to thank you. We hope you have a great season.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis has been our guest to talk about the Auburn Doubledays, and they open at Falcon Park at Pinckney Field. Still keeping Pinckney Field and all that?
Everything's staying, yep.
On June 5th, and we encourage you to go to the field and take part in a tradition that goes back pretty much to 1927. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a moment with a second Beyond the Front Page with David Pappert of Operation Gratitude to talk about this year's May Healing Fields project that will occur over the Memorial Day weekend at Hoops Park. This Thursday, the 1st, we'll have New York State Assemblyman John Lamondes for an Albany update, and oddly enough, it will be done from Albany, because as we speak right now and tape right now on Tuesday, the state budget is far from done. That is supposed to take effect at midnight tomorrow night, but he will be on with a Zoom call as long as the legislature is not in session or active. He's a freshman legislator who replaced Gary D. Finch, who retired after the November elections this year. Next Tuesday, April 6th, is our final Inside Government, our final show for the season, with Auburn Superintendent of Schools, Jeff Perazzola, to give a budget update and talk about Auburn's return to the classroom instruction 5 days a week in the classroom on April 19th. We'll be back later in the month with a Zoom forum with the candidates for the Auburn Large School District on April 27th. I'll moderate that forum, and the questions will be asked as usual by the Citizens Executive Editor, Jeremy Boyer. Before we go, though, you can send us your questions for the Assemblyman or the Superintendent. You can send them to cozguytho@aol.com or Inside Government, 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York, 13021. I'm Guy Cosentino for Cayuga Community College. I want to thank you for watching. Stick around to listen to our discussion about Operation Gratitude, but otherwise have a good night, have a great tomorrow, and be safe, and we will see you back here in the studio on Thursday.